Hola chicos, bienvenidos. Soy Juani. There are three perífrasis in particular that I found really useful in Spanish. Now, if you can integrate these into your Spanish conversations, I guarantee you they're going to make a big difference to your Spanish conversation. And the really cool thing is they're very easy to learn as well. So with that being said, let's jump straight into it. El número uno, the verb acabar, de, plus another verb in its infinitive form. Now, this indicates in Spanish something that's just been completed or something that you've just done as the English equivalent. For example, if I were to say, I just ate dinner, I would say, acabo de cenar. Acabo de cenar. So if we take a closer look at that, you'll notice that we're conjugating the verb acabar in the your form, in the present tense, of course. Acabo de, and then we've just got the verb cenar, to have dinner, in its infinitive form. Nice work, I hope that makes sense. Let's try another example. If I were to say, I just finished my homework, I would say, acabo de terminar mi tarea. Acabo de terminar mi tarea. If we break it down again, you'll see we're conjugating the verb acabar in the your form. We've then got the verb terminar, to finish, but in its infinitive form. So again, you can see it's pretty easy to form really grammatically. Let's try one more. If I were to say, I just went to the beach, I would say, acabo de ir a la playa. Acabo de ir a la playa. Again, breaking it down, conjugated the verb acabar in the your form. Then we've got the verb to go, ir, in its infinitive form. Next up, el número dos, dejar, de, plus another verb in its infinitive form. So in this particular sense, the English equivalent is basically describing you stopping a certain action. So for me personally, I found this to start with very useful in combination with the verb tener and deber, using it as an obligation, because we don't have to conjugate the verb dejar in that particular scenario. For example, if I wanted to say, I have to stop watching movies so late or until late, I would say, tengo que dejar de ver películas tan tarde. Tengo que dejar de ver películas tan tarde. So if we break it down and take a closer look, you'll see we're using the verb tener to express an obligation. Tengo que, I have to. Dejar de, stop. Ver, notice how we've got the verb ver, to watch, in its infinitive form. Películas tan tarde. Cool, let's try another example. If I wanted to say I have to stop being irresponsible, I would say, tengo que dejar de ser irresponsable. Tengo que dejar de ser irresponsable. So if we break it down again, using the verb tener as an obligation, again, dejar de, so we're describing something we want to stop, which is being irresponsible, and then we've got the verb ser, to be, which you'll all be familiar with, in its infinitive form. Now, as you can see, the expression dejar de, plus another verb, is a very useful expression in combination with the verb tener and deber to describe an obligation. However, it's also a very useful expression in general, and I personally found this one really useful as well in the preterite past tense. For example, if I wanted to say, I stopped smoking 2 years ago, I could say, dejé de fumar hace 2 años. Dejé de fumar hace 2 años. So again, if you break it down, you'll see this time the conjugation of the verb dejar we have to conjugate. So we've got it in the preterite past tense form, in the your form, and then the verb fumar is in its infinitive form. Now, I think you're starting to get it, but let's try a few more examples just to be 100% certain. If you wanted to be a little bit more romantic with Valentine's coming up soon, of course, you could say, I never stopped thinking about you. In this case, you'd say, nunca dejé de pensar en ti. Nunca dejé de pensar en ti. Let's try another example. I believe or I think I stopped playing the guitar for 4 years. Creo que dejé de tocar la guitarra durante 4 años. Creo que dejé de tocar la guitarra durante 4 años. Moving forward, another common expression in Spanish is using the verb ir, to go, plus another verb with a gerund, or adding the ing onto the end of that second verb. And what this indicates is the English equivalent of saying an action that is slowly progressing over a longer period of time, and it's progressing step by step. For example, if I wanted to say I am improving my Spanish step by step, or I am slowly improving my Spanish, I could say voy mejorando mi español. Voy mejorando mi español. So again, if we take a closer look, we're conjugating the verb ir in the yo form in the present tense, and then you'll notice we've got the verb mejorar, and we're using it with a gerund, adding the ing onto the end of it by putting ando on the end. So voy mejorando mi español. Moving on, I've got 3 exercises coming up for you, so you know what to do. Using these expressions we just learnt, I'm going to give you a sentence in English, and I want you to translate it for me into Spanish. Now, I'll give you 10 seconds to answer it, but if you do need more time, obviously feel free to hit pause on the video. And just remember, if you are getting any value from these videos, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. First up, how would you say in Spanish, I stopped learning Spanish last year? I stopped learning Spanish last year. This time you'd say, dejé de aprender español el año pasado. Dejé de aprender español el año pasado. Next up, how would you say, I just finished my Spanish class? I just finished my Spanish class. So this time you'd say, acabo de terminar mi clase de español. Acabo de terminar mi clase de español. Last one, how would you say, I am slowly cleaning the house? So I am slowly cleaning the house. So you want to express that it's taking a little bit longer because there's a lot to do, so you're doing it over a longer period of time. This time you'd say, voy limpiando la casa. Voy limpiando la casa. Nice work, everyone. I hope you got some value from that video and these expressions. Of course, if I can help with anything else, please don't hesitate to leave a comment or a question in the comment section below. But apart from that, I will see you in the next one. Hasta pronto.